All right. Hi, guys. We are live. We're almost on time, 8:11.
Well, we were on time.
Yeah, we were. So this
Things
is
just keep us.
Enchanting Views and Mystic Brews.
You got it this
I did. I'm starting to get the name right.
time. So we were just talking about how we were outdoing each other with our hair this week.
Yes.
And hair is power.
It really is,
Mhm.
honestly.
And it doesn't mean that the longer your hair is, the more powerful you are. It's just how you feel with your hair. So if you shave it all off, that could be
Yeah.
power.
Sometimes I feel powerful in a pixie cut, like just
Yeah.
getting rid of all of it. There's
Yeah.
something empowering about that too.
Definitely. I think when you walk out of a salon and you just had like a blowout, it could be, feeling like a
Yep,
lioness, or lion for the men. But it's
exactly.
the
Yeah.
fresh cut or the fresh cut or the fresh style or the fresh blowout or whatever you're doing that day.
Yeah.
And I think that was, a good thing to touch upon today as we're sitting here like badasses.
Yeah, and especially with our deity Lilith, who's all about that too.
All
So,
right. So that's our girl this week,
yeah,
Lilith. That
Lilith,
was Dee's pick
gotta
for the week.
represent.
Yeah. So do you want to start with your interview or you want to get into something else this week?
We can start with the interview and then go into the other things.
Okay. So this week it's about Haiti, or some people call her Dee because they can't pronounce her name.
That's really why. That's
Spell
really
it.
why. That's why D exists
I
and it's
like
funny
Dee.
because it's you know what it is? It's more when people see it spelled, it
They think
looks like
it's
Heidi,
Heidi.
and I totally get it. But then after a while, I get tired of correcting people. So I actually left one really good friend calling me Heidi for 2 years before someone was like, "Why does she keep calling you that?" I'm like, "I never had the heart to correct her yet." And
I
then when
think
she found out, she was so upset with me because she was introducing me to all her friends as Heidi and all this stuff, and I'm like, "I am so sorry."
it's such a cool spelling and it's so unique and it's the name your mama gave you. Like I think that, kind of calling by a nickname takes takes your power out
Yeah.
of that. So what was this will be part of your interview, I guess. What was in your mom's mind when she named you Haiti?
You know what?
Did
So
you
the
do that?
story from what listen, I'm learning so much about my family lately now that we kinda all, like, live together. So, but from what I know, I think my aunt actually named me. I think
Really?
my father wanted my middle name to be my first name. So my middle name is, like, Patricia, but I can't picture myself as a Patty.
No, that's not you at all.
Right? Um, but it's funny, my older sister and my name rhymes. So my older sister is Shady and I'm Haiti.
You did
I
tell
don't
me
know
that.
if they meant to do that on purpose or what, but I know my older sister's name, my mom had that name like set out, like that was the name she wanted her first kid to be. Um, my name, I literally have no no idea.
Shady's
But
a
from what I hear,
really
my aunt named me. But
Shady's
oddly, it's
a tough
also
name.
uh, Haiti is the country right next to Dominican Republic, and I was born in Dominican Republic too. So
Maybe they just like the way it sounded.
yeah, maybe.
But like, has your sister been teased all her life because she's shady?
I don't think I think the teasing started when Eminem came out.
Oh, okay. So nobody really.
And a lot of the times people don't think that's her actual name. She'll have to like show her license. And be like, no, this is like my name. I can kind of get it. I'm like, yeah, most of the time people just say Heidi, and I'm like, sure.
Does she have a middle name that she's like, I would so much rather go by this?
So my older sister's middle name is Michelle. So we all have like regular middle names.
Well, you know that like within the church, way back in the day, it was the case that you had to have a first name that was a saint's name to be able to be baptized, even if you're going by your middle name. So, like my
Yeah.
Nana, it's the weirdest thing. I feel like I'm telling the story of George Foreman. Everybody's first name was Margaret.
Really?
Or, I'm sorry, Mary. So it's Mary
Mary?
Margaret, Mary Patricia, Mary Regina. And then my Nana, for some reason, she was Rita Claire. And then her last sister broke the norm completely, and she was Anastasia Nalaska. No idea what happened there. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. I
Yeah.
love that.
So when I was like being frisky, I wouldn't call her Aunt Anna. I would call her Anastasia Nalaska. And I would say the whole thing. And she loved it. She thought it was hysterical.
I love it.
Yeah, but everyone went by their middle name.
My husband goes by his middle name. And it's so funny because when no one knows him by his first name, everybody gets really surprised. So like his middle name is Michael. It's, Miguel in English, it's Michael. So
Mhm.
everybody calls him Mikey. But his first name is actually Juan.
Oh, we're
But
giving
like
it all up
nobody
tonight.
calls like his own family doesn't even call him that.
That is so, and that's really funny. Do you know that my husband, when he was born, his mother doesn't even know what name she put on the birth certificate. She doesn't know what first name she gave him. And Juan is John. And it could
Yeah,
be that or it could be Todd.
it could be Todd.
So we call him Todd. I don't know. I mean, you don't know what you put on the birth certificate? Like, that blows my mind.
That's insane. That's actually pretty awesome.
It's kind of mind blowing to me. You don't know what you don't know what you named your
Oh man,
kid.
I'm dropping stuff over here. There we go.
So back to you. All right. So we do know that you're a sensitive, obviously,
Mhm.
but do you have other abilities?
No, not really. I think I had more like earlier in life, like when I was younger. Um, and then it was more of the fact that I purposely try to turn it off. Um, so because it was starting to just become too much.
Hmm.
Because I had no control over it and things like that, so it gets overwhelming. So I think I may have like shut it off completely, but it's funny because now I wish I was more open, um, to things, and I'm trying to find ways to open myself back up more, only because, with investigating, I used to have a lot more personal experiences when I first started, like, when I was more open. Like, I first started investigating with teams officially,
Right.
in 2012. And I was way more open then, like, I could tell you if something was in the room, when it left, like, and things like that. Now it's and I think because I kinda, like, shut it off so much that I went towards all the tech stuff because I'm
Mhm.
like, I still am into this, and I still want, answers, and I still want to know, what is there beyond this and stuff. So I went towards the tech side, um, but I do wish to have more of those personal, like, open experiences again.
Yeah.
Maybe being able to control it better than I had no control over it before.
I think as a kid you don't know how to control it. It's really difficult to learn how to control it, especially if you don't have a mentor or a great mentor.
Yeah.
Um, it becomes a lot easier. But to be able to start having that come back. It's really funny, like the ways to get that back are the best ways, like dancing, singing at the top of your lungs, doing
Really?
like a random act of kindness for somebody. It's just like raising your vibration,
Mhm.
you know? So it's super easy. And especially when you're with kids, because kids are crazy and they just want to do like the fun things in life. And that's what
Yeah.
brings it back to you.
Well,
So
my
it,
kids are very open, like, they see things and communicate things that I can't see, and that's another reason why I wanna be more open too, so I could relate to them more and be able
Mhm.
to understand them more and, um, try to get a grasp of what's going on because, lately, we've actually had a kick of activity in our own home, um, and, we're still trying to pin down what's the cause of it because it's been, like, the past couple of weeks, it's been pretty crazy. We've had a lot of I actually have to send you a ton of stuff that's been happening
Yeah,
here.
please do. I can help you with that for sure. Did you have
Um,
anything change in your home? Well, the kids were just sick, right?
yeah, yeah, and you know what I think it's a combination of things. I think we're noticing it more because, like, my parents and my daughter are left to New Jersey. Now my parents are in Chicago. But so it's just, me, Mikey, and my baby boy, Grayson. And so I think it's like with the less amount of people in here, I think I don't know if it's just because we're noticing it more or it's
It's not
more
as
quiet
chaotic.
and things like that, and now we're starting to hear we've had a lot of little things we would notice, like, from this room, in my daughter's room, um, we could hear, like, footsteps walking upstairs, which would be in my room where, no one would be upstairs, but you could hear the heavy steps of
Okay.
something, like, walking around and things like that. That's always kinda been occurring, but now it's like, a lot of other things are happening.
Any poltergeist activity?
Our blinds in our, dining room would start swaying by itself, and our air vents are nowhere near in that direction. Because I checked, I was like, what's going on?" But you could actually, like, the last time it happened, Mikey actually heard something hit it, and he's
Mhm.
on the other side of the room on the couch, and I'm upstairs. He actually heard something hit it, and it started swaying, and I have the video of it swinging and me looking around to see the air vents and everything to see what could be causing it, and couldn't figure it out, and then, I actually had my team come out, and we set up a Boo Bear right next to that blind, and the Boo Bear started going off during one of our SD sessions. So,
So I'm wondering if it's that she's gone.
I don't know, it's so weird. I'm wondering if but then it also goes back to we're also wondering if we brought something. Because one of the things, like, I kinda had in the back of my mind is a residential case that we were working on. I told you about the residential case, and possibly it being something from there. There's definitely multiple different things.
Mhm.
We could tell, and we've caught EVPs of multiple voices, um, and things like that while we were sleeping. We could there's, voices in the EVPs and things like that.
So it could be that it's upset that she's gone. It could be
Yeah,
that it's followed you, whatever it is. We'll have to like look at that together
yeah.
and see what comes up and we'll look at it. Um, but that's really, really interesting because there's been stuff here too.
You've had like, a uptick. It's so weird.
Yeah. But I don't know why. I mean, I have been investigating heavily, so
Mhm.
it could be that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think spirits, they tend to flock to children, especially children who are very sensitive, because they
Mhm.
want, like, it's like a beacon in a lighthouse. It's like looking for somebody who wants to come in and like talk or like give out a message. And little kids are prime, especially when
Yeah.
there's someone sensitive, or or people who have, they're on the spectrum, or somebody who's like ADHD, or someone who has autism, or Asperger's or whatever, because they're prime subjects for having
Yeah.
the abilities. Um, so growing up, were you in a home that was haunted?
Growing up, we did live in an apartment and we had, I always remember there being activity um uh while we grew up. So, but I never thought it was related to the apartment itself. I thought it was more like either like our own family stuff, like maybe something with the family or, my mom loved to find things off the road and like, "Oh, we could use this," and like, you know,
She was a
we
hoarder.
I think, like, one of our, like, beds she, like, found on the side of the
Oh
road. She's like,
my
"It's so
gosh.
good." Like, that was, like, our when my grandma used to stay over or when my older sister, because me mind you, me and my sisters all slept in one room. So, um but like we had our triple bunk bed, and then she found this other bed, and she's like, "It's still good. We could use it." And
This
like,
old
I'm
bed
like,
from
"Thank you for Facebook
filing
Marketplace now,
your
because now she
granny.
goes for that instead of picking up what's on the side of the road." But specifically, that bed that she found, like I remember like watching the blanket off of that bed start to like lift and
Get
drop
out of here.
and like do crazy things. Yeah. So
That's like definite horror movie stuff.
yeah.
I don't know what movie it was, but when like the blanket went up and then there was like a small child standing underneath the blanket, when they ripped it off, the kid was gone. Like that was kid stuff in movies creeps me out so bad, but I
Yeah.
can't not watch. You know what I mean?
Well, I
But yeah, like
used to see a little girl like in a horror like what you would see in a horror movie, like the little girl with like long dark hair and like a white nightgown. I used to see this little girl in my closet every night, just staring at only one time she came out of the closet. And I thought it was my older sister. So I was in the middle bunk and my older sister on the top, and I saw someone like as if they're like upside down looking at me. And I wake up because when you feel like eyes on you.
oh yeah.
So I open my eyes, it's the middle of the night, and I'm thinking it's she. I'm like, "What do you want, Shady?" I'm like, "What do you need? What do you want?" And they're not saying anything. And then all of a sudden, I start to realize I could see through that person. And I was like, "Oh, hell no." And I put my blanket over my head. I'm like, "Mm."
So did your sister feel, I mean, like if that little kid was hanging over off of her bunk into your bunk,
She
did
was
she feel
sleeping the
anything?
entire time.
Oh my God.
She was sleeping the entire time, and I was freaking out. What's weird is I ended up getting, like, this weird connection with this girl in school in middle school, like, we just clicked like that. She started seeing the same girl in my closet in her dreams, and we started dreaming about her. We would have the same dreams almost every night, and in my dream, she would say a number, so, like, every day at school, we would meet, and we would count down, like, 1, 2, 3, and then we'd spit out the number that was said in our dream. Mind you, I don't remember my dreams, but during this period of time in my life, like, I was having very vivid dreams, and a week before that my friend was moving to Peru, we both had a dream that we were at each other's funerals, like, crying, like, blood. And, like, there was no number or anything in that dream, but we both, like, came to school the next day, like, really upset and told each other, I'm like, "I dreamt of your funeral." She's like, "I dreamt of yours," and crying red
Hey,
blood
that's
the
like
same scene and
traumatic.
then she moved away. And then I've never never had a dream like that again. I actually never saw the little girl after that and things like that.
That is super traumatic for little kids.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked for this girl after?
I honestly, I can't even. Well, no, I do. I was say I know I do remember her name, but I don't know her last name. She moved to Peru. I like when I think maybe how old was I? Maybe like 8 or 9 then.
Oh my god, like, that's a grown-up thing to go
Yeah,
through. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something little kids would go through.
but me and her had some weird connection, and
Maybe
that
you
was
had
our thing.
maybe you had, like, a past life together.
I think so. Yeah. And she helped me kinda open myself up more when I was young. She was the only one that understood everything I was going through and everything like that, so it was nice. I think she was meant to be in my life at that time, and we were supposed to
Mhm.
have that connection. I'm a huge believer in everyone comes into your life for a reason. You meet everyone
Same.
for a reason. Whether good or bad, they were meant to be there for a lesson or to be in
Yep.
your life for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah,
huge believer in that. I don't
and I believe that they're there sometimes for a short period of time to save a place, or they're there for a longer period of time to teach you a lesson. Sometimes they're there for life because they're
Mhm.
supposed to be there with you, and they make a big impact on you.
Yeah.
But that's really amazing. Like, was she Peruvian? Was she
Yeah, she
like,
was Peruvian, yeah.
so she was
Um,
moving back to her home
oh,
country?
it's funny I said I remember, I had one medium. I was in my dating phase, I was in my 20s, and I was talking to this one guy. I remember my one friend who's a good friend of mine, but he was also a medium, and he would warn me about this guy. He's like, "Hey, you just need to leave him, like, he's not good for you, like, da, da, da," all this stuff. I remember turning to him, and I'm like, "Listen, I know he's not my life partner. I'm not here. I know he's not meant for me. Like, I know it. But deep down, I'm like, but I know deep down I'm meant to be in this person's life right now. I'm like, I know it's not gonna end well. I know I know it. I'm not dumb.
Yeah,
I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not finished with what I thought I was not like I was trying to fix him and I wasn't. But I'm like, no, like deep down, I'm like, I'm really meant to be in this person's life. I don't know why. It's not for like marriage, but I'm meant to be in this person's life
for whatever lesson
for
at that moment.
whatever. If for
Yeah,
this brief moment or whatever, I just know it. Deep down, I know it. And let it play out the way it's gonna play out. I know it's not gonna play out well, but it just needs to happen that way.
yeah.
It didn't.
And I
It's
think
fine.
that that's why when people are telling you, "Look, you need to get away from him. You need to get away from him. You need to get away from them. You need to get away from this person. You need to start listening to me, or you're going to get, hurt very deeply." You're not listening to those people. It needs to be when you're ready,
Mhm.
and that's when you finally break loose from that person for whatever reason it is. It's something that finally clicks in you,
Mhm.
because you have to play that out
Yeah.
for you, for whatever lesson that was, or whether it's that you're there to help them or they're there to help you. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely 100% true.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I was there more he wasn't there for me. I think I was more there for him because I
Mhm.
think if I wasn't in that picture and I wasn't distracting him, I think he would have like really gone down like the deep end, like, spiraled almost. So, I'm glad it happened the way it did. It's
I'm starting to wonder if we don't just have spirit guides, but we have lifetime guides as well. You know what I mean? Like, we're also put here when we choose who we are and who we're going to be, when we get in front of the council and we say,
Mhm.
I want my name to be this. I want my parents to be these people. I want my brothers and sisters to be these people. I want my difficulty to be this, and I
Yeah.
want my job to be whatever. And when I get down there, I want to be or to the next dimension, whatever it might be. I want to do these things. I really believe that when we get here, we use whatever our difficulty was in the previous life that we're still working on, or whatever we chose, whether it was, that we survived an abusive relationship and we're going to use that to come here and we're going to help someone else. I
Mhm.
really think that. I think that maybe we're also guides in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So you're
I
you're right.
believe that too. Yeah. I think we're not only guided, but I think we're guides ourselves to certain people. Like, you know, it may not be obvious to us now, but we make impacts on people's lives all the time that we may not realize we do. And I'm starting to kind of realize that now. There's some people who are like, "You have no idea, like, what you've done for me." And I'm like, "What are you talking?" Like, I never thought some of the things I did were like a big thing, but it's like, no, this really helped a person out. Okay. I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
glad. Um, so yeah, and definitely I like how you say lifetime guides. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I kind of
I
agree.
don't think you'd necessarily realize it was something enormous unless it was, there's somebody on a news station and they're interviewing a person and they say, what made you not jump off this bridge? Oh, well, Haiti, she had a big impact on me and I was thinking about her the whole time and I decided not to jump. Unless you see that and hear that for yourself, I don't think you realize what impact you have on somebody, or unless they come to you directly and they say, this stopped me, or what you did for me was absolutely amazing and it changed my soul, it changed my life, it changed whatever. I mean, there are so many people out there that you've probably changed their lives, but either you don't know it or maybe they don't even realize it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But you've changed mine.
Oh, no, you changed mine.
So, what made you start getting into this so much that you formed a team and then you changed
Mhm.
that and you got into another team? It just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been into it's actually started off with like UFOs and everything. Because my father, he was so into, UFOs. He always had books, he would always watch stuff on TV, and that was kinda like my bonding thing with him. Like, he would put it on TV, and I'd sit there and I'd, bond with him being all interested. So and that started when I was, like, 5, and
Oh my
then
gosh, that was
and
young.
yeah, so, and a lot of those shows, like, after those and then, all the ghost shows started to come out and all this stuff, but I mean, I had interest in ghosts and the paranormal even before the shows, I think. And I remember, being that little weird 5-year-old, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, I want to be a paranormal researcher. And everybody's like, oh, what? I'm like, like ghosts and stuff. And like people would look at me with like 50 heads. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm the weird kid. Um, so it was ever since I was little, and then, I got onto, like and I would do stuff on my own. I got into, like, that, goth stage in middle school with the, plaid skirt, dark makeup, black, all that stuff. And, like, you had your little group of friends, you would try to do, like, create your own little Ouija board of, like, paper and a cup and, try to do spells or, um conjure things up and, outside in your backyard. So,
With like
that was
twigs.
like middle school for me. Um, and then 2000 yeah, I think it was 2012, I got on my first official team. It was, Scream Paranormal Research, great group of people, and, yeah, from there, you know, I learned a lot. I learned a lot when it came to investigating and I'm still learning. Like that's one thing with I don't believe there are experts in this field. I feel like this field is always constantly changing and I feel like it's always a learning experience. That's why I love working outside of, I love my team, but I like collaborating with other people in the field and with other teams and with other investigators and with other people within, the different, not just ghosts, but UFOologists and cryptids and just learning their methods. Um, just because, it's all about expanding that knowledge and things like that. So, started off in 2012 and I kind of just loved it and I just kept going and, you know, was it last year I decided to sign up for MUFON and I passed their test for to be a field investigator. Um, I was going through they have like a university thing. I was taking courses in their university. I have their handbook. Um, I had trouble with training and I had trouble with their standard of training. I just didn't agree with it, and a lot of it was I'm not gonna say everybody, and this isn't classifying MUFON as, like this is MUFON as a whole, it was just specific individuals, and of course, it was specific individuals that I had to interact with all the time, um, that one they just look down on women in general, and I didn't like that. I'm
Oh,
not an ass kicker, like an ass kicker. I'm not an ass kisser. Everybody's like, "Oh, just do the training, do what the" I'm like, "No, absolutely not. No."
so it's a
And,
very male-based.
they actually moved me from one department to another department, to see if but then that wasn't any better, and and then I found out some stuff where I was like, "I really don't even agree with it." I actually cried because MUFON I looked up to them so
Yeah,
much,
maybe that's
and
the
to
problem.
finding out the reality of it, I was like, "What is this?" And I like, by the end of it, I messaged all, like, headquarters, everyone, I'm like, "This is such a disappointment. I feel like I'm going backwards in my education, like, in training,
Yeah.
that I'm like, I can't move on." So that's where decided to become an independent investigator. Um, so yeah, so now I'll do ufology on my own, but mind you, I still stay in touch with certain members from MoveOn because they are great people. There are great people within the organization. I've
Yeah.
only had because I was going through the training and everything like that, and the people I encountered through there weren't the best. I'm sure if I moved ahead, I would have, you know, um, met better people, but I just didn't if these are the first few people I'm going to meet within the organization, they should give a better impression.
Right. So how far into this were you before you met
Not
these
far,
people?
honestly, not far. I mean, I independently was doing, like, I was going through all the courses and everything on my own. um in their university, I kind of learned that I read the handbook in and out, like, um and everything like that, but training, I, like, literally didn't get past training because I'm not, like I'm I'm not to blow my I'm tech savvy, like, I am. Like, I was in the IT field as director of operations for, like, 9 years. I took cybersecurity. I was going for cybersecurity in college and things like that. Um, and
You're way more tech savvy than I would ever be. I'm more
And,
like
like, they were
research savvy.
yeah, so some of the programs I use for, when people send me videos or photos to look at, within the paranormal, I actually run it through 2 different digital forensic programs. One to see if there's a normal explanation and also to see if the photo's been altered in any way. And, um, they were
Did you
literally telling me
did you
not
do that
to
to
use it.
mine?
Huh?
Did you do that to mine?
No, I didn't actually. You could kinda just tell yours wasn't altered.
It wasn't.
Yeah. But, but they were, like, telling me not to use those programs. They they're like, "Oh, just use, like, regular editor and use, like, the thermal filter," and I had to explain to them that the thermal filter isn't showing you actual thermal. It's like a filter to mimic what a thermal image would be, but it's not accurate. Like, I had to explain that to these people, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Unless
And
the
these
person
people are
using
the
a thermal
best in the
camera and
field.
actually capturing, just throwing on a filter is not gonna give you an accurate account, like, of the image. So, like, I'm like, "Why do I feel like I'm losing brain cells right now?" Like, I couldn't play along, I can't.
Yeah.
That's my one. I don't like, I have a lot of patience up to a point, and there I didn't have patience, and I was like, "I can't keep going through with this program as much as, like, I love it." So that's where I'm like, "I'm just gonna do it independently," and I do, and it's still the same methods, it's still the same things, I just don't have a big organization backing me up, but
But you don't need that. And it's
I don't.
really sad when you think that they treat women so poorly. They don't have a basis of um like what they said to you, you knew enough what to do, and they're not really using a great protocol. And on top of that, you're totally disappointed in them on top of it. And this is supposed to be the best of the best
Yeah.
that you're supposed to rely upon
Like, when I tell you, I
answers.
broke down crying because of how disappointed I was, because this was, like, my
Yeah,
dream, and
that's sad. I'm
man,
sorry.
it was like a knife to the heart. I was like, "Oh my god, is this really what it is?" But I know it's not, as a whole, I know it's not, it's just I didn't get that far, and I couldn't.
Well, that happens in the paranormal world as well. I mean, when you have people who you look up to and they disappoint you as well, it's earth shattering, you know?
Yeah,
You rely on these people as your, I don't want to use the word idol, but I mean, you look up to them your whole life and then it comes crashing down. It's the same thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just really sad.
And, for a while, and not so much now, but I wanna say, like, in the field, when I first started, it was really hard as a woman to, like, be taken seriously and to get them to, like, hear me explain anything, and it's just like, good thing I'm stubborn though, because I'm like, "You ain't gonna shut me up."
Yeah. And it shouldn't be that way either, because when you really truly think about it, number one, they should really want a male's perspective and a female's perspective because we think very differently. And it's just a given that that's the case. But
Mhm.
also, like the paranormal, we would not be doing any studies at all if it wasn't for the Fox sisters. You know, it all came about because of women.
Mhm. And what's funny? It's sad that TV doesn't portray this, because most of the investigators on TV are male, but most teams are all, like, run by women.
Hmm.
They're usually, like, the head people in charge of running a ton of it. So it's like, it's sad that it's not, you don't see that
Yeah.
as on these shows and stuff. I really don't watch too many, and I don't watch too many of the shows. I watch maybe, like, 1 or 2. I really like, I really, yeah, I watch, like, Skinwalker Ranch and, like, Blind Frog Ranch, and so that's about UFOs, and then, uh, I like Ghost Brothers, but just because I love, it's funny, they're hilarious, and I love how, like, lighthearted they can make it, because, yeah, investigating, it's serious, you're trying to do research, but you gotta have that lighthearted side too,
Yeah.
because, you know
Well,
so they're
first,
always fun to
anybody that
watch.
you investigate with, you're probably close with, unless you just met, and then you're gonna end up being close after whatever you find, because you're like, dude, did you see that? Holy that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. You got to check
Yeah.
this out. Come over here. Like, and
Yeah.
you're testing your equipment and showing everybody else what you just got, and everybody's like, oh my god,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Where'd you get that? I have to get one of those things. So you bond over these things, and
Yeah.
it's
And I will say,
normal.
doing, like, historical sites and things like that, you tend to be able to have more freedom and more
Mhm.
fun with it, whereas, residentials, I am more strict. I try to be more serious because that's someone's home and you don't wanna, like, be
And it's
laughing at
purified.
what they're going through.
Yeah. You
And
don't
it's
want them
funny
to
because
do
I
that.
saw it finally from, like, the other way around as, my team investigated my home, and, like, to hear them say, like, "Oh, I'm scared to go into that room by myself." I'm like, "The room I sleep in? The room
Yeah,
I go to every day, you're afraid?" And I'm like, I now can see from the other point of view. I'm like, we do have to watch what we say because
that probably isn't the best thing to say in front of the client. I'm
there
terrified
was
to go in
someone who
this
came
room
at my
because
house,
there might
so
be
it's
demons
fine.
that
I was just
wander
like, "Okay."
in. Oh my
It's
god.
understandably creepy. Well, because it's also I had all the lights shut off and everything like that, so it does, there is a creepier feel. But at
The
the
creep
same time,
factor is
like,
there.
"Oh."
Oh my gosh. So how did you um how did you go from starting that team to being on a team with your husband?
Okay. So, I never started no, scratch that. I may have started one. So, I've always been on teams, okay? And then the first team this happened to was so I was on a few teams. I tried to run one team years ago, and it's a lot of hard work. And I was like I met my I didn't go about it the right way. I met like team members off of Craigslist. Okay.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do that.
um, and then but my like a friend I had like from years ago, we ended up like kind of connecting again. And she had her own team, and we kind of just ended up always investigating together. And then she's like, "Do you want to just like combine?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'll become." And then that's where Unseen, I started investigating under Unseen Paranormal. And and then I was with Unseen for a while, and that's where I met Ron, Lourdes, like the whole gang. Um And it's funny because Lourdes pretty much runs the unseen page now. I'm like, so many people have access to that page. I'm like, just post away. I don't care. Um, but our the founder of the group had to step away. Like she just had a child. She wanted to focus on family, and she was like, "Hey, do you mind like running this team?" And I did for a bit, but then uh, you know, and that's where I met Mikey, my husband. I met him. We were on two separate teams, and he was uh, filming for another team, and we met at a location and hit it off from there. Um, and then he ended up joining our team, but then uh, life happens, and we were trying to start a family, and I had a few losses, and I had to get my head back straight. So I kind of like Unseen kind of like didn't fall away, but like, it's just life happened, and my focus wasn't on investigating at that time anymore. So took a break, and then it wasn't until we decided to move to Florida that we tried to we were I really wanted to get back to investigating. So I'm like, hey, let's try to find a team. Let's try to, and we did. And, we were first with Florida Paranormal, but then things changed, things happen, and now we're Beyond the Boundaries Paranormal. It's all pretty much like um, a lot of the same members. We have new members, and yeah, now I love my team. Like they're an amazing group of people, and uh, great head on their shoulders, and yeah. And so now, and it's funny because I wasn't planning on running. I didn't want. I over and over was like, "I don't wanna run a team. I don't wanna run a team." And when we had before we became Beyond the Boundaries, I was just gonna let the team just, like, go, and but, my one teammate, Bill, he's like, "Don't, don't leave, don't break this team up." He's like, "We're all together, we'll all help each other out," because that was one of the things. It was too much on my shoulders. I have 2
You have
kids at home. I have
kids.
2 autistic kids at home. I work full time. I'm like, I don't have I'm like, I wanna be part of a team. I don't have the means to, like, run a team on my own. Um, so but, my teammate, Bill, Bill's literally the only reason why we stuck together because he sat there, like, convinced me. He's like, "No, let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this going." And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "If you promise to help, then we'll keep this going."
Well, you're like a
And
family, and like once somebody hears that that family's starting to break up after a while, they don't want that to happen, so they're going to jump in and help it to keep it going.
yeah, yeah, and
That's
that's what happened, and I think and because this was also a fairly new team, so we weren't really that close just yet. Um, but then, now we're all close. Now, like, we're great friends, and I got a great team, and I'm glad that I stuck it out, and, I also I don't try to put so much stress on myself anymore. I'm like, things will get done when they get done. Like, if a video doesn't come out for a while, then that's what it'll take, just because life sometimes has to come first.
And that's how it should be. I mean, people understand that life kind of gets in the way sometimes, and you shouldn't have to constantly be worried about whether you have a video up and ready and running. It's that your kids come first, your husband
Mhm.
comes first, your house comes first, and not that your house has to be like sparkling clean,
Yeah,
but you know paying the bills and making sure that your kids are safe and happy and healthy and fed, that is what comes first, not
yeah.
your podcast, not your whatever. If your kids are
And that's
having a
why I love,
birthday
like, how
party.
relaxed this podcast is, so it's like, we'll do it when we can do it, and no set
Yeah,
dates, and if we make it on time, it's fine.
if
If
I'm
not,
feeling
it's
totally
okay.
exhausted and I tell you that, you're like, we'll just do it next Tuesday.
Like,
Or
I
you're like,
need it's the only way I can function is, like, a stress-free,
yeah,
environment. Like, I don't wanna be stressed, like, "Oh, I gotta get this ready for this podcast, this date, this time." I'm like, "No, if I can't do it, then it will just reschedule to when we
yeah.
can. That's
I
it."
actually took a nap before this one, and I woke up and I was like, I feel like I didn't take a nap. But I'm putting my makeup on and I'm forging through. But I always love
And
talking
I
to
always
you.
tell you,
So
I'm
I
like,
did
"Girl," I'm like, "if you can't do your health comes first, you gotta take care of you." I'm like,
thank
"This
you, and I
can
love
wait."
you.
Like,
But
I love doing these podcasts, and I love especially these witchy ones where we get to teach and stuff like that,
yeah,
but these videos will come out whether it happens today or another day. They'll be there, and then
yeah.
they'll always be there. But
The only
moments with, like, your especially moments with your family or with your kids, with your friends, you don't get those moments back. You don't get
right.
to replay it like podcast videos and things like that. Um, so that's I wanted to do podcasts, but I didn't want that strict schedule because it was when I did, it was impeding on my home life, and I'm, like, rushing to do homework with my kids to get it done and get them in bed, and I'm like, "No, I don't wanna do that."
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, you shouldn't be like, let's go over spelling spell podcast.
yeah.
I'm like rushing to do to have dinner made, and then whatever I thaw out has to be eaten within a certain time. So I'm still trying to get that done. I'm literally, putting stuff in the oven. I'm waiting for the timer to go off. I'm sending messages downstairs. Make sure you take dinner out and eat this. And, just
You
say
gotta have that work-life hobby balance.
yeah, and I'm not eating until like 10:30, 11 o'clock sometimes. So it's
Yeah,
tough. And I refuse to miss my grandchildren's stuff. I refuse to miss my children's stuff or,
mhm,
anything that goes along with my husband. They're my family. They come first. And it's
yeah,
not that I don't love my friends or my watchers or whatever. I
yeah,
just, life is short and you only get one life in this meat suit. And I'm going to do it as big as possible. And just like
yeah,
you should.
yeah. I also think I think it may also be like a generational thing, not to like call myself old or whatever, but it's like, so much now is on social media and online and maybe not as much is done in person or going out and things like that. And most people are home or I'm like, I can't I need that interaction. I need that. So I would rather have that than something over social media. I'm like, yeah, I could have thousands of friends on social media, but like, am I really interacting with that many? Am I having like, are we talking in one-on-one or things like
You
that? I
rarely
don't
even hear from most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them are like creeping on your page to see what you did last and to criticize you for what you didn't do and not giving you hand claps for what you did do or did well or, like,
Yeah, and I've had an increase on my page, and I'm very grateful for everyone who's found me and things like that. And
same.
I've added them, and a lot of them are within this field. So I hope to connect with them one day, maybe at a convention, or actually get to meet them and learn from
Mhm.
them and see what they're doing on their end too, and what locations they're checking out. So
Yeah,
so
maybe
yeah,
we should
but
we should do a meet and they can come meet us. Well,
I
you won't
swear I'm taking a trip
you won't
down.
be at the bash the whole time, right? I
Huh?
mean, like it's only you're going to be at the bash for just those couple days, or are you staying longer?
Um, yeah, I think we're gonna do like a long weekend from like Thursday to Monday because we're driving from Florida. But isn't that the weekend you're going to Florida?
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to be traveling from like the 16th to the 30th.
Oh, maybe we could meet. Yes. All right, I got
That's what
you.
I'm thinking. I'm
Yes.
thinking.
Road trip
So
meeting.
maybe there could be like a dinner or something in there.
Yes. I love
Wouldn't it be crazy if I was like, I'm at mile marker, blah blah blah, and you're like, I'm 2 away from there.
be there in a second. Shoo.
Yeah, Todd Fuller. That would be awesome. I would love that so much.
Yeah.
The crazies are here at the family restaurant. People would watch us talking like this.
Oh yeah.
Do a quick
But
little live.
yeah. Yeah, we could
That's
do that too.
hilarious.
But
So,
do you wanna move into the next stuff?
it's we have what 25 minutes left. So,
Yeah, because I know you got a call after this too. Um, yeah, so yeah, we can start going into we should go into the deity? The
yeah, let's
deity
talk
of the
about
night? The
Lilith.
deity of the night is Lilith. She's one deity that has a bad reputation, a false
Very
bad
bad.
reputation, I think. Um, because everybody's like, "Oh, you work with a demon?" And I'm like, "Listen, I'm like, it
Isn't she
folklore
like
and
thought of as like
have demonized her.
female
Men
version of like
demonized her.
Lucifer?
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. She's like the female version of Lucifer to most people, which I don't.
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny because it's like what drove her to that is basically not wanting to be subservient to Adam. So, actually, I found an awesome kind of like TikTok that kind of gives you a good like brief like history thing. It's like one of those like AI things. I was like, oh, you know what? This explains this a lot better than I could. So let me I'll actually play that. Let me pull it up
Please do fill us in.
on my screen. Actually, see if I can move this. It's a great image, not TikTok. But I feel like love is one of those really misunderstood um deities.
She's kind of like, I don't know, she's kind of like Medusa to me. Medusa's misunderstood too.
Yes. Yeah. What happened to Medusa is actually really messed up.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about her someday.
Yeah, that could actually be we can we don't have to just do deities. We could do like different mythologies and
Mhm.
especially like Greek mythology uh things too. Let me make sure I'm sharing the audio. Okay, just trying to pull it up on the screen. This one.
I think Lilith is fascinating, especially since like people don't hear about her and they're like, who's Lilith? Like, what do you why are you talking about a Lilith? Where did she come from? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't know about Lilith? How do you not know about Lilith? And I think she's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like she kind of did the same thing Lucifer did. And after this, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna play it now.
She's so pretty.
Right?
Jewish mythology, who has been interpreted in a variety of ways throughout history. In the earliest versions of the myth, Lilith was believed to be a demon who preyed on newborn children and pregnant women. The story of Lilith first appears in the Babylonian Talmud, which dates back to the 5th century CE. According to the Talmud, Lilith was Adam's first wife, created from the same dust as he was, and was equal to him in every way. However, she refused to submit to him, and so she was banished from the Garden of Eden and replaced with Eve. In later Jewish folklore, Lilith became associated with demons and evil spirits. She was believed to be a seductress who preyed on men and caused them to have erotic dreams. She was also thought to be responsible for a range of illnesses and misfortunes. In modern times, Lilith has become a symbol of female empowerment and rebellion against male domination. Feminist scholars and writers have reinterpreted the Lilith myth as a story of a woman who refused to submit to patriarchal authority and was punished for it. Lilith has been celebrated in art, literature, and music as a powerful symbol of female strength and independence.
So
Ugh, that makes
that,
me so mad. So mad. You
yeah.
know, it's funny that they said that it started in Jewish folklore. It wasn't folklore. And this started in like Jewish tradition. Well,
Mhm.
Jesus was Jewish. So it started in Jewish folklore, but that's where Catholicism began. So,
Yeah.
like, it's so messed up. It
There's
really is.
there's another TikTok, like, if you wanna go into, like, the biblical aspect, there's actually a great guy who so Lilith so in folklore, actually, there is a brief mention of her in, I think he says the Bible, I forget which version or whatever, but she's called Lily too, because that's the pronunciation back then. It's not
Mhm.
Lilith, it's Lily too, or Lilith. And uh there is one mention of her, and that one mention kind of tells you this story, and tells you the story that God initially made a man and a woman equally. So there was a woman either way before Eve, because Eve was created out of Adam's rib, but if
Right.
you, I forgot, he explains what verse and everything this is in, but he explains that, God created a man and a woman out of the same earth and
Yes.
everything. So
Mhm.
there was someone before Eve, and this is where the story Lilith came, and then, because, you know, uh she wasn't subservient and she left the Garden of Eden and all that stuff, that, you know, it
Doesn't it say
wasn't
that he
later
tossed
they
her
started
out?
to demonize her and then make her um seem more like a demon who goes after babies, and it's this created succubus demons, and to entice men and all this stuff. But it's that original story where she did not wanna lay beneath Adam and felt like she should be on top too, and Adam was like, "No." So she was just like, "Okay, bye." And
So
God had to send his angels of like, "Hey, go back," and she's like, "Nope."
so here's where I feel like she and Lucifer are kind of like on the same scale and they're kind of equal. So she was created to be equal to Adam, and Adam didn't want someone who was on the same level as him, right?
Mhm.
God had a son, Lucifer, who was named the light.
Morning
So,
Star.
yeah. So he was supposed to be wonderful and light and whatever. And God cast him out because he wanted to have more knowledge, and God was jealous. Don't we want our children to be better than us?
Yeah.
So the only thing, so it's very similar, but the only thing that I
Well,
have,
if you know about the folklore, Lilith and Lucifer end up together, and she becomes Lucifer's wife,
right, because
and
they're in
that's
a
why
very
she's
similar situation,
yeah, that's why she's the deity of night and darkness and things like that.
which is interesting because Lucifer is like the prince of darkness, yet his name means light. But here's my thing. I've noticed a lot about the Old Testament, and I don't know if we should be talking about religion or not, but everything that we do is about religion. So how could you not? So I noticed something about the Old Testament. Everything that God did was angry and jealous and
Mhm.
greedy and like kind of hateful. So, was that really God, or was that the devil masking himself
Disguising.
as God?
I could talk about this all the time because I actually studied religion. I went to a Roman Catholic college. I took theology courses, and we discussed things like this.
Mhm.
And um I remember kind of like uh, wondering the same thing.
Are there more than one God?
Some of the stories, he seems so cruel. And it's like, why would he ever, kill your first son and prove, uh, you believe in me? It's like, why? What,
And
this
then
is just
all of a
like,
sudden, the New Testament comes around and he's like a loving God.
Yeah. Because I think
Where
they
did that
realized how
other
cruel,
dude
and
go?
maybe it's just during for that time. Because I know, back in those times, they used fear to kinda create order. Just like, Santa Claus back then wasn't the Santa that we know now. It was Krampus who, like, if you were naughty, would take you into the woods and, like, rip your stomach out and fill you with coal, like, that was their Santa.
Yeah, but
And
those were
now,
the
like, this
people.
jolly, big old
Those those were the people that were telling those stories. This was the actual God.
Yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
it's what was written by people.
Right. By the people for the people.
Yeah.
So it makes it really interesting to talk about, like, why when the world was first created, why would there immediately be a war of angels?
Yeah.
Why would you be I mean, are you trying to terrify the people? Why would you create something
Well,
and
that's
another
the whole
thing to be
idea of
together?
Noah's Ark. I don't know why they make the story out to be like some beautiful thing where I'm like, why was that shouldn't even have like that's just messed up that it happened.
Yeah. But
Like
to create
flood the
man,
whole world and kill everybody, pretty much press a reset button. But
you
let's save
created
two of each, not even all animals, but each animal like of
that
their
never
choosing.
happened. You can't even get my dogs to stay in the house when we try to leave. Like, you're putting two animals together.
Oh,
But how are you
so
writing a story about a man who had a woman created for him, and then that went sideways real quick, and then you hide the story? So now rip out his rib, make it incredibly painful, and then make this subservient woman. And now this asp comes for her and she eats the apple. So she's the asshole. Like,
yeah. Well, because women were also not looked at very highly in those times. So,
but you originally had an equal woman who was
yeah,
powerful. So which story is it? Come on, like, come up with something and stick with it. You ripped
yeah.
out
But
all these
there's
Bible.
also so many stories, within well, I don't know too much about like what's in um what's the Jewish
The Torah.
the Torah. I don't know if it's the same as like with the Bible where there's a ton of chapters and writings that we don't know about that are kept away.
It was ripped out of both. I mean, Toth is gone. Enoch, gone.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of missing information that may be able to explain it better, but we just don't have it. We just don't got it. So the Book of Enoch is on my list of things to read.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really
But
interesting.
going into, Lilith, and now you know a little bit about her and why she means a lot to me. I'm into like those deities or mythology or even freaking Disney characters who were portrayed villains, but really
They're
they
like
were
warriors.
like Medusa. Like I always fell in love with like Maleficent and like when they came out with her story and like what happened to her with like Angelina Jolie playing, I was like like she was like she was demonized for what? Because she
Yeah,
was different. Because
that's the only
they're the ones who ripped her wings off.
that's the only
And
Disney movie I've ever liked.
yeah,
Truly.
Maleficent's my favorite.
Yeah.
So, which is probably why Medusa's my favorite, Lilith is my favorite because they were all strong, independent women who was demonized by, not even
Yeah.
just men, it's just because with Medusa it wasn't, I mean, she was raped, but then it was the goddess who turned her into um the snake. So just unfair treatment over something they didn't even do. So that's my
Nobody
good.
even knows that story. They just think of some chick with snakes on her head and these like green eyes that get her into
Yeah.
lots of trouble.
But with Lilith, so I brought my own personal things that I do with Lilith. I have the little 4-hour dark chocolate for her.
Aw.
That's one of the things. So some of the offerings, actually, I could play this too. For Lilith. Where's my mouse? There it is. This is only a few. Lilith actually has a lot of different offerings. Finding like all my information off of TikTok. So like it just helps.
That's
And they give good presentation.
It's like the school for the nerds,
Yeah.
the nerdy witches.
So here, what offerings you can give. So here is cherry juice,
Ooh.
red candles, cooked goat meat. I think any meat actually in general is another one. Although some people have said raw meat, but I'd rather cook
No, thank you.
lavender and dark chocolate and rose tea. And some other ones is like cinnamon, red wine, and things like that.
So all
So
the sexy stuff except for the meat.
yeah, except for the meat. So when it comes to like an offering, someone gave me this, and I actually think this is very beautiful. This is like a thing for embracing Lilith. I'll read it. Lilith tells us to take back our power. She calls to us to stand in our truth, embracing our darkness and our light equally. She tells us to stop playing small and being afraid of burning too passionately for worry of being misunderstood in the eyes of others. Our fire is not for them, she tells us. It is for us. We're not here to be the sacrifice. We're here to set the world on fire. I love that. I
I love
love
it.
it. So usually when I want to call upon her or anything, I actually read that before because it's just empowering. It
Yeah,
means
it
more.
is.
Um so and this candle is so cool. This I got this at a Ren fair actually, and there was this little the little witch cottage, and this one was specifically for Lilith. And she put, different things to represent her. I'm actually not positive what. I know she has an obsidian stone in there. Um, but it's in a cool cauldron. So I like this for Lilith. And I have my selenite obsidian. I'll light a candle and, call upon her. Um, and then I did create an offering brew, and it's red. It's
Ooh.
not so pretty. It's a
It
pretty
is.
red. This was like one of the offerings listed on the screen. Um, this is a rose tea. Well, it's a rose and hibiscus tea. This was a tea blend that I already had. Um, so what I have here for my offering, I actually have the blends of rose, cinnamon, and the lavender, which was listed as like some of the offerings you can offer her. You can add anything else you want. So I would actually take this, even pour the tea into it. Let me just not spill it. Oop.
So that would be left for her.
Yeah, that can be left for her for however long, and then when you're done with it, you just throw it back into the earth. And I don't throw anything, at least any of my offerings, in the garbage. So, and then I got my own tea. I even put like a little cinnamon and the lavender
Aw,
together for the tea, and then I
that's
mix
cute.
it. That's an offering you can do if you're doing a ritual for her, or just calling upon her for anything. She's the first one where when I kind of, I don't want to say prayed, but called on to her because I felt like I was being called to her. So I finally acknowledged it, and I read that, and I kind of was just like, acknowledging her presence. Like when I tell you I had chills all over my body,
Yeah.
like when I did that, I like it was the first time I ever felt something like that. And I was like, all right, I hear you.
It's a huge sense of empowerment.
Yeah, and then I had to have honey in my tea.
So that's like a really vibrant red.
Yeah, that's the rose and hibiscus. So the tea's strictly just rose hibiscus, and I think it does have a few berries in it because I have to have that sweetness,
Yeah.
and then have my honey. Actually, where's the cap? I lost the cap. Oh, here it is. Ah, I forgot my lighter. But so got my tea, got my brew, a little offering brew. I just love that it's like that bright red too that she's like
Yeah, it's
associated
really
with.
beautiful.
Beautiful red.
And that would be good for people who don't like tea because it's not really tea.
Yeah. Well, no, this is actual tea. This is tea.
Does it have tea in it?
Um, yeah, it's a tea blend with the rose and
Oh,
hibiscus.
okay. Because some of them
So this
aren't
you can drink.
teas.
This is edible. It's all good for you. Got
I've
my
seen
little to add that touch of cinnamon. Cinnamon's actually really good in teas. If you have like heart issues and stuff like that, it's
yeah,
actually really, really good for that. And the lavender is good just for calming effects. So
we all could use that these days.
it's actually really delicious.
That's a good.
No wine tonight, guys. Standard tea.
Maybe she'll sleep tonight.
Yeah. We'll see if my son lets me sleep.
I know some tea. I'm not a tea drinker. I don't like tea. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the taste of it. But there are some teas that are made without tea. It's like, I don't know. I think there was like a dragon something. Like my daughter loves tea. She has every kind of tea imaginable. When we go to Key West, we go to the tea shop and they have all kinds of teas. But there are some that are just made with like flowers and, seasonings and things like that, but there's no tea in
Yeah.
it. And you just brew it with whatever it is.
Hold on, I'm trying to close out. There we go.
This was a
Yeah.
great show. I liked
I'm a
this.
big tea drinker. I only within the most recent year. I used to not like tea, but then I finally found like I'm very into like I don't like the earthy tones. I'm more like fruit blends and like something sweet.
Mhm.
So this one's good.
I can tell.
Mm.
I can tell.
No one's gonna see me drunk tonight this time. Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
noticing that one glass of wine really does sometimes really mess me up. I don't know why.
That's all right. Sometimes you need it.
Yeah. And now I think another thing that I think is great that we're gonna do tonight is the self love spell, which works really great with this deity too, because she's all about empowering yourself. You know, and she is about sexuality and sensualization and things like that. Not just, just, taking back your power, taking back, everything that is you. Um, and realizing that you're beautiful and that you're sexy and things. And honestly, since taking her, and I do feel that more. So, like having her as a deity to go to, I'm noticing, um, you know, for a while I was kind of like down about myself, like,
It's very easy to get that way.
after my hysterectomy and stuff, I kind of just I hit a depression, I hit a wall, and I wasn't feeling good about myself. My mental health wasn't right. It was constant up and down, and I definitely lost confidence. And I used to be super confident, in my 20s and stuff like that. Like, but then, with a lot of, as you get older, and especially all those health issues, you lose that.
I
So
can
since
relate.
um, yeah, since honestly practicing, you know, doing this, and finding this deity and, um, I would say feeling like I have a purpose, but I don't know. It is more empowering for myself and things like that. So with the self, do you have anything for the self-love spell that you want to like, what do you usually do when you do a self-love spell?
So what I would typically do is fill a bathtub with rose petals, pink
Love
salt,
that.
black salt, and use candles. And you can light pink or even white around the edge of the bathtub, and just take a bath with those things, and
Mhm.
just focus on the words, I am love, I love myself, just things that are positivity. And there's not even like really something that you have to get out of a book or find online or
Mhm.
whatever, because I'm somebody who, I don't feel like if you go to Pinterest and you find some kind of spell, that's going to be any different than if you do something that you just come up with on your own.
Yeah.
But any, like, rose petals are always about love. Pink salt is about love. The black
Mhm.
salt wards off negativity. The candles are definitely always based on the color. So pink is about love, and white will, replace that. So I make my own spells.
Mhm.
I don't go off reading anything. I just think of what I would enjoy. Even
Yeah.
pink's, Himalayan salt that is scented, or, if you find salt that is, it smells like rose, or whatever you want to do. I think it's based on what,
I
comes
love
in.
I used to do ritual baths all the time. I love doing that. I really need to make some time to do it again because it really you just feel so refreshed after.
Yeah, and it's cleansing whatever your thought process is, especially if you can like lean back and cleanse your third eye, because it's opening yourself to what you're thinking. So if you keep
Mhm.
that positive thought process going, and even like write an intention on a basil leaf, and, I will remove all negative thoughts about myself, and light that on fire,
Yeah.
I think that that's the best thing to do. Don't go by what everybody else is telling you to do,
Do
or,
what feels right to you. You
yeah,
know, ritual baths work perfect, and everybody gets drawn to something different. Some people are drawn to using candles. Some people are drawn to ritual baths. Some people are drawn to,
crystals.
making like here, I tried that. This was a self-love little spell jar.
Mhm.
And I put, like you said, the pink Himalayan salt, rose quartz, rose petals, I think a black salt, um, rosemary, and lavender, and things like that. For
Yeah.
like a little self-love, you could use that for a spell jar
And who
if you
doesn't need
want.
to take a bath or a shower?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
and
yeah, and,
the quiet time.
you could create like this, for salt baths, like you said, add the rose petals, add the Himalayan salt or Epsom salt and things like that. I used to make these candles too. I'm not gonna light candles tonight since of that big fire this
Yeah,
last
probably
this
not a great
day.
idea.
Maybe I'll light a fire next one, but I'm still a little traumatized by last. If you haven't seen it, watch last podcast because the flame got a little too crazy.
And it was
So
hilarious.
So this is like a candle one don't break the bank either. This you can get at like the dollar store and then you could put in your own essential oils. You could put in I added the rose petals, I added rose quartz, I added I wish I knew. It smells delicious. I wish I knew
You
which
can pretty
this a while
much
back. I
get
don't remember what essential oil I use, but it smells
you
so
can pretty
good.
much get
Um,
everything that we mentioned at like a Dollar General, a Dollar Tree,
yeah.
every 99 cents, whatever,
You
wherever
don't
you
have to
have
go
it.
to a metaphysical shop or
No,
anything like that. Like, don't do that because 'cause you're paying, like, so much more for things you could find, elsewhere. And then, well, actually, I had this red candle. This actually, I had red, pink, and purple to represent love, beauty, and calmness for me. So would be like my self-love thing. And
So
sometimes
now, for
I have
me,
a mirror here because it's for you. You're reflecting back what your intentions are. So, like I've said numerous times before, like um I need to visually be able to see it. So I need to see
mhm,
that reflection. I need to see that I'm talking to myself. This isn't going out to anyone else but me. So having those affirmations, creating those things and, telling myself you are beautiful, you are this, you are confident, you are brave, you're strong. And just saying those things into a mirror, that's your own self-love spell. And doing that consistently really, it makes a difference. It really does.
yeah,
Um, and
and
you
you
don't
don't
need this whole
have
setup.
to.
You just having a
No,
mirror in front of you, just saying that over and over, just creating these affirmations for yourself, um, is enough.
and those
So
candles may not relate to someone else. Like those candles
exactly. These
to me,
colors, these candles may not be for you. It's finding your own, we're just showing you one of many, many things you can do.
yeah, red to me is passion, pink is love, and purple is like psychic abilities. So for me, it would be pink, white, and possibly blue, because blue
Mhm.
to me is calming. White is more like purity, innocence, and tranquility, and pink
Yeah.
is love. So use whatever you think is good for you. Like
There's
think in
no
your head
right
what
or
you
wrong.
right. It's absolutely right.
Just
But
because one book might say, "Oh, this candle means this." If that's not what it means to you when you see it, then that's not what it means.
and you don't have to use a mirror. Use your cell phone. Turn the camera on.
Yep, you could use your phone, you could anything.
You could do whatever you want,
Anything.
whatever like rings out to you.
Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, one of the things we are having trouble live streaming on Facebook. I don't know why Facebook thinks every time we try to live stream, it's from a fake account. We're gonna get that fixed. We're gonna figure this out. Um, but I see that a few people are actually watching us on Instagram. This was my first time using Instagram Live, so we actually had 1, 2, like 7 people watching on Instagram Live. So
Well, thanks for watching, guys.
yeah. um,
I'm gonna have to start signing in before I do this.
okay,
And if anybody ever has questions, please do that in the comment section.
definitely. And yeah, and if you have any suggestions for, do you know uh what should be our next spell we work on?
I love spells. What about I have a whole box of like different bottle spells I do, and it's like over there. We did the binding, we did the freezer, we did the cord cutting.
Mhm. And if anyone missed those, you could go on our YouTube or Facebook page and you can
Yeah,
find our videos there.
they're really awesome spells. What about like a debt spell?
A
Or like
death
bring money,
spell?
like either a debt be gone or bring
Oh,
money.
death.
I
I
know
thought you said death. I was like, what's a death spell?
we could do that, but like maybe an abundance spell.
Oh, okay, yeah. An abundance spell. That's a good one.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not just wealth. It could be an abundance of love, an abundance of jobs coming in, an abundance of money.
I can use
Of the money.
I got hospital bills I gotta pay for.
Yeah, we all have those. So let's do that.
Yeah.
I think the people
The
watching can
next one will
probably.
be abundance spell.
Okay.
I think, next deity we should do. Do you have one in mind?
I don't know. Let's think of a good one.
You know what? Let's do one for our guys. Let's do Odin.
Oh, I like that.
All right. We're doing our next deity is Odin.
Okay.
I'll see about an offering for that actually might have to be alcohol.
Good old beer in a mug.
little, little beer.
And an abundance spell.
Yeah.
My pen won't right now, of course. You'll have to remind me of this because I won't remember.
I'll remind you.
I know you will.
I love your hair. Your hair is so cool
You know
like
what? It's actually shaved
that. I love that.
all the way around and like a true mohawk down the back.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
In lots of different ways. It's like I'm still trying to get used to it though.
It looks good. I wouldn't even be able to tell you had all that. You must have a lot of hair, like thick hair, because if I did that, I have like very fine, thin hair. I don't feel like that would work for me.
The last time I did this, my hair was, I don't know, probably about this long. So it kind of like, it was like a pompadour, more like Pink's hair, I think.
Okay.
And it was purple, and then I changed it to pink, and then I kept playing with the colors. This, I wasn't ready for her to like cut me into a bob. But when I came home, I started playing around with it, and I had my hair in like 2 ponytails, and it was kind of like in a bob, and you could see the shaved sides. And then I was like, oh, so I could kind of like curl this. And then I made it into a bob so I could kind of still wear it so that people don't know that it is shaved in case I have to go someplace fancy or conservative. So I'm like, I think I'm going to see how this works. And then maybe if I want to cut this off, then I can. But for now, I'm good.
I like it. I really like it.
Thank you. I might curl it tomorrow and see how it goes.
I think it looked really nice curled. So
yeah, we'll see.
Big hair changes here, guys.
Yeah, I love yours though. I'm so jealous right now. Love
Thank you.
So this was another amazing episode of Enchanting Views and Mystic Brews. I loved this one tonight. This was an amazing.
It's always fun talking to you.
To you too. I love talking to you. We could do this all day long.
I know.
We won't bore everybody else. We could just.
Although we may do like a spin-off on the show where we just like random rantings and biblical talks.
Like I said, we can always do that cauldron one I said.
Yes. I love that idea.
I think that could be very interesting, although it may get us in trouble.
I know. It definitely would.
So next week, or whenever we do this one, I will have to look at our calendars.
You'll get the dates in advance, I promise you.
All right, my love. Thanks everyone for watching. This was a fun one.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, coming on. And hopefully we'll get all of the hiccups fixed by then and we'll be back to streaming on Facebook and everything like that. So
yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to get it to stream. There's apparently a way to stream on TikTok, but I got to figure that out too.
Yeah, there is.
Stream to all the channels.
You can go live on TikTok. So we'll try that and we'll see what happens.
We'll get it all figured out. But thanks everyone for watching.
Bye, everybody.